Hello and welcome back to Planet Nibiru. Researching these subjects as we do on this channel, and being aware of all the possible cataclysms that could befall mankind, I tend to prepare for them like I would an impending storm or a long winter. Keeping extra on hand, be smart about the storage, and rotate the older stock so it gets used and replenished with the new. Those who know me both in real life and online know that my background includes hands-on type training, living in the woods, mostly off the land, for over a year. Maybe one day I will tell that story, but not today. Most people often ask me questions like, what is the best gun for survival? Or, hunkering down versus bugging out, which would you do? And, of course, the biggie, what is the best retreat location? This is a subject that we will be covering in an upcoming video, but not today. As someone who intends to try to survive any type of cataclysm that life throws my way, I have put in many hours studying the art of prepping, and I can tell you that there are many good answers to all of these questions. The difference usually lies in the type of cataclysm we are facing, but you can surely understand that. What I want to talk to you about today is one of the things that doesn't change regardless of the type of cataclysm or disaster you face, and that is what items you should stockpile for bartering in the aftermath of a cataclysm. In the aftermath of any type of disaster or cataclysm, you will need to have not only the items that you and your group need in order to live, but you should also have some items on hand to barter with others. Why, you might ask? Because you will never be able to bring everything you need with you. There will always be something that you forgot or that you would like to have, and if you have the right items, you can barter or trade for that when you desire. This question is pretty simple and straightforward, and so are the answers. So let's take a look at the top 10 items that you should stockpile in case of a disaster or cataclysm. The first thing that we need to consider is what items do people need and use every day? Followed by, will they need these items after a long-term disaster? And if so, will those items be readily available when the resupply lines are cut? If not, then would those items be easy to make from other common items? If the answer is no, then you should probably stockpile them. These are the questions that I asked when I put together this barter list. Number 1, ammunition. While I don't advocate bartering most ammunition after a collapse, simply because that ammo could be used against you. Stop and think about it. If a person needs to barter for ammo in the first few weeks and months after a collapse, then it's evident that that person has not done their prepping and will need other stuff that they figure that you now have, and there is no guarantee that they won't use that ammo that you bartered to them at a later date to kill you and take your preps for their own use. The one exception that I make with ammo for barter purposes is shotgun ammo. Stocking a large amount, say 500 rounds or so, of 12 gauge birdshot, number 6 and smaller shot sizes for barter purposes is a good idea. Sure, birdshot can kill someone from a very close range, however it's pretty low penetration, and its short range makes it one of the least threatening ammo types that can be stocked up and used for barter purposes. Number 2, water filters. Fresh, clean drinking water will always be in demand, and while storing water for barter might not be feasible for most people, it's easy and it takes up little room to store water filters such as the Life Straw. The Life Straw is an excellent barter item. It's easy to store and has a really long shelf life. It is small, lightweight, and you can easily store 25 or more of these in a military ammo can. Number 3, garden seed. Seed to grow food is one of the best barter items that you can have on hand post-apocalypse. I store both non-hybrid seed as well as hybrid vegetable seed for barter. Seed is lightweight, inexpensive, and will be worth more than its weight in gold to a survivor who is trying to barter for those seed after the balloon goes up. But before you go out and buy a bunch of seed for barter, or for your own use, do some research on what grows well in your local area, or the area that you plan on bugging out to. Another thing that I've done is to print off copies of the PDF guide called Planting a Home Vegetable Garden. Look down in the description and I'll put a link to it. You can hand these out when bartering with vegetable seed because most people have no idea how to plant a garden, and this pamphlet will give them more confidence in their own ability and will increase their perceived value of the seeds when you're negotiating the barter deal. Solar panels and rechargeable batteries. Wow, wipe that look off your faces. I know what you're thinking. Solar panels? Those are expensive and I can't afford those for myself, let alone stockpile enough to barter. Well, in some cases you would be correct. However, I'm not talking about expensive 200-watt panels. What I'm talking about here is the small solar chargers, such as the Crane 11-in-1 solar battery chargers, which are priced at about $24.99 each, or the SunJack portable solar charger, or the SunJack USB battery charger for rechargeable NiCad batteries. These are both under $60. You can also set up a charging center where people can bring you their batteries for you to charge and use your solar setup to charge their batteries in exchange for goods. Number 5, first aid supplies. You could always stock up on individual first aid items such as bandages and gauze, and that's a great idea. I've also stocked up on pre-made first aid kits for barter. These kits can be bought for under $20 each, but post-collapse would be worth much, much more. Don't forget about antibiotics. There's many places online where you can get antibiotics, and you can find more about their use online as well. If you have any medical skills, or if someone in your group does, then these medical skills will be in very high demand and can be bartered for just about anything that you need. Number 6, skills. As mentioned in number 5, medical skills will continue to be in high demand after any major disaster, especially a long-term disaster. However, other skills will be in demand too, such as carpentry, auto and shop mechanics, sewing, firearms repair. All of these will be in high demand, and those skills can be bartered for goods that you need. Number 7, toilet paper, baby diapers, and tampons. Toilet paper, baby diapers, and tampons are always in demand and will continue to be in demand in the aftermath of both short and long-term disasters. Sure, some folks might substitute toilet paper with something else like a cloth or even leaves if forced to, but toilet paper would be a luxury and be preferred by nearly everyone, and survivors would pay handsomely for that luxury post-collapse. Same thing goes with tampons and pads. Baby diapers would also be needed and in demand. If you have a baby, plan to, or someone in your prepper group has one, then I suggest that you look into cloth diapers. Number 8, coffee, tobacco, and booze. Well, need I say more about this? Most people have their vices, and most of these vices involve one or more of all of these 3 things. Bags of tobacco that have been vacuum sealed will give the longest shelf life possible. If you can brew your own booze, then you and your product would be in high demand. But by doing so, you would probably increase your chances of being robbed for your product, so security and caution would be a top priority. Number 9, condoms. Yep, I said it, condoms. We all hate to have to use them, but the consequences of not using them could be disastrous. This means now, but even more so after a collapse. The best ones that I've seen are the Crown condoms, which are only $15 for 100 individual condoms. They are a great investment for barter and for your own personal use post-collapse. People will continue to have sex after a disaster, and protection from pregnancy and STDs will be needed, and if you're the person in your community with the condom stockpile for barter, you'll be in the catbird seat. Number 10, lighters and matches. Lighters and matches for barter should be self-explanatory, but keep in mind that these, like condoms and some of the other items mentioned above, would be most valuable for barter after a major long-term Teotihuacan type event, because we don't know exactly what is going to happen or when it's best to stockpile smaller amounts of many different barter items, rather than a massive amount of only 1 or 2 items. Now I know many of you will say matches have a very short shelf life, etc., blah blah blah, but it also should be noted that I have a jar of matches that are well over 15 years old, and I keep the lid tight on the jar, and those matches strike and burn just as well as the day I put them in the storage. The key to keeping them dry and working is to add a desiccant. A desiccant is one of those things that absorbs the moisture in whatever container that the desiccant is in. So if you can find a desiccant, add a little bit to the jar that you're storing your matches in, and it will give your matches a much longer shelf life. Anyway, those are the top 10 items that I've found that would be the absolute best for stockpiling for barter use after a cataclysm or after some type of disaster. If you have some other ideas for items to barter, please mention them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back with another video soon.